Hi you guys, this is Mike the Mechanic coming back at you with another video here. I made a video of how I took out the starter on the Acura 2.5 TL96. This method can be used in any gear reduction starter. When I took my starter apart, I found out that on the starter that I had, the brushes were bad. Or you can see here, prone B and A were all the way no good. These have good prones on the brushes. These brushes are actually really good. So I went out and I bought this new brush set, and now I'm going to show you guys how to put it back together. This is the housing for the starter, and here's your actual starter motor right here. So now, with all that, this piece is going to go back into this piece. Now, if you look, you see that this bottom piece down here is solid, and you see up here, you can actually see your coil packs inside of there. So, with that being said, the contact piece of the starter, which is going to go inside of the gear reduction hookup, which I'll get to that later, but that end is going to be sticking out of the solid end. Okay, I'm going to move in a little light so you can actually see. Okay, you can see that there now. See, that's the solid end. That's where your contact for your gear reduction connection, that's where you want that coming out at. And on this end, this is the end you're going to have this for your solenoid contact. Okay, so you just simply slide this piece back into there. Oh, of course, this is magnetized, guys, so I mean, you might want to. Now you see, it simply back together. It sits in there. It's magnetized. That's how you get your currents and all that, but it's sitting in there just the way it should. That's the proper sitting for it, just like that. Okay. Then you're going to want to take this piece, and then you're going to take your, try and get some light for you guys and make it a little brighter in here so you can see a little better. But okay, now this is a little tricky right here when it comes to this part, to actually putting the starter back inside of the solenoid, inside of the brushing housing. And I actually need someone, wish I had someone here to help and hold this while I can show you, but I'm going to put the camera down so I can put it in. But I'm going to show you what you need to do. Is you have 4 brushes sticking out. So what you need to do is, see, your head won't go in there with those brushes sticking out like that. So what do? Is you take and you're going to push one set of these brushes back. Either 2 you want, but you're going to push them in and hold them while you set this down inside. So I'm going to put my camera down and put that inside. I'm going to try and lean it so that you guys can see. I don't know how good you're going to be able to see, but I'm going to try and put it so you can see me working right here on that piece that's right there, okay? See, then you just push these 2 back. You can use the head of the starter, the head of the motor, and you're working them back to get that piece to come in. Okay, now that doesn't want to sit directly inside, so you're gonna have to kind of push it back, get to a screwdriver or something, and try and prone the other 2 back until you get the whole starter to actually drop down inside. So with that, I mean, it's a little work to be done here, but like I put at the beginning of all the videos, if you're not mechanically ready for a challenge, then this is not something you want to be attempting anyway. So, with that being done, I got that piece back inside, right? And then you hear that snap? It's going to keep popping up though, only because the screws are not in place to hold it, so don't worry about that for right now. Then what you want to do is get it inside of there. Now, as you guys can see, my starter is just about all back together. There's the solenoid, it's connected to the brushes, which is connected to the housing. Everything's there. Now I need to just get it ready to go back into the gear reduction body itself. So the way we're going to do this properly is you're going to take this piece, you're going to line your screws, you're going to line the screws for this piece, which are these two long screws, your long screws, and you simply stick it down in there. You're simply going to push it down into the slot and sit them both in the slots like so, so that way once you get ready to put it back on the gear reduction, you have these two screws to slide in place, so that way you can get your other 3 screws in. So with that being done, if you look at the back side of your gear reduction, if you look, you'll see that little half a U-shape over there, that U-shape, that half a quarter of a 3/4 of a circle over there. That's where this tip, that's where that tip right there on the starter and the solenoid connection is going to go. So you're going to make sure you slide that in there and let it slide into those slots that are in there, into that gear. So I'm going to sit my camera down once again so that I can get these 2 parts joined together. Okay? This is very simple, guys. I mean, it's very simple. All you have to do is just have a little patience and just know basically how to put things back together if you take it apart. So, with that being said, this goes there. It's going to turn a little bit and turn a little bit. But then, like magic, you get it into the right spot and it goes back down together perfectly. And you just screw this screw in a little bit, and you screw the other one down a little bit so that you got contact. And then we're going to go ahead and take one of your other smaller screws that goes into the motor and put it there and screw that all the way in. And you're going to get that all the way down, nice and almost fully tight. And then you're going to put one in on the other side. And then you're going to take your last screw and put that in. Well, as you guys can see, I showed you that the starter was bad on the car. I took it apart, which I really didn't want to, but I mean, can't find a used one, and the new one is a little bit too expensive right now, so I just took the starter apart, checked the pieces inside, and come to find out the brushes are shot in the starter, so that's why it's not making contact. But if you tap the starter, of course, it's going to produce that contact artificially and give you a crank. But you don't want to do that, because then keep doing that, because then you'll eventually wear something else out. So I went ahead, changed out these brushes, and now I'm putting it back together, and I will test it. I will bench test the starter and see if it jumps and clicks on its own without having to be hit. Now, just about gotten all the screws tying back up on the starter. And you want to make sure you get them good and tight. Because remember, you're working with a gear reduction starter. So you want to make sure all your screws are good and tight. So that way you don't have anything, when the starter jumps or whatever, you don't have anything coming loose and making the gears rub the wrong way. So, gonna go back over all the screws one last time, give them one last good nudge, and there it is, guys. Voila! You just saw that starter all taken apart. And now what do you have? Your starter all the way back together and should be in good working condition. So, with that being said, there's the starter completed. All put back together. Nothing's loose. Nothing's loosened. Nothing's shaking inside anymore. There's no play in there. And look back for number 2 on testing the starter bushing and the new starter I just put back together. Thank you guys for watching, and hope this video was helpful for you.